Octagon is the name of a highly secretive Nazi organization, who by the end of the war got all their fortune of Nazi gold and looted goods into Octagon, or Switzerland, in order to use it for future wars and illegal actions in time to come. So was the German scandal in the 90s, the scandal of the Black Funds, with which the political election campaign of Helmut Kohl and the CDU were financed using Nazi gold laundered in Switzerland and organized by the Octagon, secret Nazi organization, named by the secret code word for Templars in Switzerland, just another Templars treasure, so to speak. The name Octagon is a secret code word for the base Switzerland of the Nazi Templars.
Just as hexagon used to be the key code for France,
the financial wing of the Nazi Templars carries the signs of octagon. Look at the octagon shape, an octagon. This is a typical pharaonic Nazi Templar bank from Octagon, or Switzerland, originally. Octagon is the symbol for the Templars and the Templars cross, and it is a secret code for the Templars and the Nazi Templars, because the Nazis, they were real Templars, using the organization Octagon. And Switzerland was founded by the Templars in 1291, and the Templars founded the Swiss banks. And this is how you get to the octagonal chase logo, which is in fact what you can see here. So this is a bank of the Octagon Nazi Templars from Switzerland, their base. Only, they talk American, they act American, they smile American, but they are not. And the political wing of Octagon are the Freemasons. And the motherland is Octagon, Switzerland, carrying the name of Isis, the whore of Babylon. There is no crime in the world against humanity that doesn't pass the Templars nation of Switzerland. Their banks, their Templars, their mercenaries, their financing of Adolf Hitler, etc. The story goes that in 1095 at Clermont, France, Pope Urban II, whose power and popularity were waning, declared war on the Muslim Caliphate, initiating the crusade to recapture Jerusalem. Out of this bloodbath arose the Knights of the Temple of Solomon, or Knights Templars. In Jerusalem, the Templars adopted Kabbalistic and Hermetic teachings, deviating so far from Christian practice that, in 1307, some were arrested in France by King Philippe for satanic activity, denial of Christ, idol worship, black magic and homosexuality. In 1314, Pope Clement V declared all Templars to be heretics, arrested the leader, Jacques de Molay, and those Templars that escaped found a welcome in Scotland, where they helped Robert the Bruce to defeat the English in that same year. Secretly, the Templars gained control of the British monarchy, and you can be sure that they intended to gain control of the Vatican. However, they had to change their name and became the Freemasons in 1717, but still driven by a lust for power gained by terror and blood sacrifice. The Light, Illuminati, the Freemasonry and Zionism, the master plan to rule the world. The Freemasons founded America, 1776, just as the Templars had founded Switzerland. Then the French Lodge, Les Neufseurs, donated the statue of Isis masquerading as the Statue of Liberty, the liberty to do as they want and kill innocent people all over the world. These pharaohs and Pharisees rule the world now, from their most important base, Switzerland of the Templars. During the 30-Year War, 1618 to 1648, against Protestants, and on behalf of the Roman Catholics, hundreds of thousands of Swiss mercenaries had massacred millions of Germans as a late answer to the defeat of Varus of the Roman Empire, thus installing their final reign in Germany. The Templars and the Swiss never seemed to forget anything, except their own wrongdoings and crimes against humanity. Much of the gold from ancient Egypt and Jerusalem was transported to Switzerland, so we can assume that this is where the famous Templars' treasure has been hoarded. A similar process seems to have happened during the Second World War, where treasure ended up in Switzerland, having been seized from the House of Judah, which would not have included Khazars, Edomites, Kenites, Ashkenazim, Pharisees, serpent seed, reptiles, or Zionists. Biblical interpretation. In Daniel chapter 7 verse 6 it says, "Another kingdom arose like a leopard, which had on its back the 4 wings of a fowl, and the beast had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it." The first beast is the Babylonian kingdom. The second beast is the Medo-Persian kingdom. The third beast is the Roman Empire kingdom, which never went away. Papal states, the nations that belong to the papacy, and the Vatican always did, has never ceased its intrigue to know what kings are doing, keep them in alliance with the papacy. She rules over the kings of the earth. Switzerland is the face of the enforcers of the temporal power of the Vatican, from where comes the enforcement arm of papal dictates. It is the Knights Templars, Switzerland, founded by said knights in 1291. Representative of what Switzerland is, evil people who carry out the aims of the evil Vatican, and the Vatican is carried by the evil beast of Revelation, Rev. 17-7. There is a distinction between kingdoms of men that have their representation, as described in Daniel chapter 7 verses 4-7, as being great beasts, and the beast of Revelation.
Now, what is Jesuit? What is that?
Okay, the Jesuits, actually they're called the Society of Jesus. That is their proper name. They were started in 1540 when they were given legal existence by Paul III, who was the Pope at the time, when Ignatius Loyola created his order. And Ignatius Loyola gave his obedience to the Pope, and it was the beginning of what we would call the Counter-Reformation. It was the antithesis to Luther's Protestant Reformation. One of the things that the Jesuits hated about the United States was in the public school system. It taught true history. It taught about the Inquisition. It taught about the Dark Ages. It taught about the Crusades. And it taught about the Counter-Reformation. It taught about the power of the Jesuit order. It was on everybody's lips at the Lincoln assassination in 1865, and it was very well known for 20, 30 years after that the Jesuits had killed Lincoln. But it was hushed up, and by the 30s, with FDR when he came to office, they completely got control of the educational system, censored true history, and ultimately in the 60s removed the Protestant Bible from the public schools. The first head of the Securities and Exchange Commission was Joe Kennedy, Knight of Malta.
Oh, really?
That's correct. And so he caused the Great Depression, and Joe Kennedy was the means by which FDR, the 33rd degree Freemason, got into office. And so FDR then introduces his new dirty deal with the approval of the Jesuit Charles Coughlin. I'm saying Joe Kennedy was absolutely controlled by the Archbishop of New York, which at that time was Cardinal Hayes. Later became Cardinal Spellman. Okay, what we have to do is we have to distinguish between the Jesuit order, the Roman Catholic hierarchy, and the Roman Catholic people themselves. The Roman Catholic people have no idea of the power of the hierarchy and the Jesuit order. None. You talk to the average Roman Catholic about the Pope running to rule this country, and you think you're crazy. But that's because he's never been taught the doctrine of temporal power, which the Pope was given in 756 by Pepin the Great.
756.
756.
Well, you're getting back there a way.
Right. He was given the spiritual power in 606 by Phocas, and he was given temporal power by Pepin 150 years later in 756.
And this isn't something that's just read to the average Catholic?
No, and when you see the Pope's flag, you see the 2 keys. One represents temporal power, other spiritual power. And when Victor Emmanuel took Rome in 1870, he took the temporal power from the Pope, Pope Pius IX. He said, "I quarrel with no man's conscience. You, Pope Pius IX, you can remain Pope of all the Catholics. You can have the spiritual power, but I have temporal power. I am King of Italy." And for that reason, the Pope locked himself in the Vatican and declared himself a prisoner. The Pope's great aim is to have universal temporal power over every nation of the world because he is the creature of the Jesuit general. They want all political power. You know, in this country, when they controlled FDR gave all the gold in Fort Knox to the Federal Reserve Bank.
Right.
Okay. The Jesuits controlled the Federal Reserve Bank, and they chartered it through their great agent, J.P. Morgan. And the purpose for the Federal Reserve Bank was to be able to be the exclusive extender of credit to the United States Congress for the building of a huge military-industrial complex by which they would use the American military to restore the Pope's temporal power around the world, beginning with what I call in my book the Second 30 Years' War, which began in 1914 and ended in 1945. I show that all the parties worked together. There were no enemies at the top. Hitler, Stalin, FDR, and Churchill all worked together through their intelligence agencies.
Right.
So I intend to fully expose this emergency war powers government run by the Vatican, because you see, this is how they're going to impose temporal power of the Pope here. The courts are already set up. They're already in place. All that needs to happen is a concordat, a treaty between the president, the commander-in-chief, which is what he really is, and the Pope of Rome through his papal nuncio in Washington, which is his ambassador to the United States. Once that happens, you now will have a unity between the Vatican and the U.S. that will impose canon law here, exactly as was done in Hitler's Germany when he had a concordat with the Pope, signed by Franz von Papen, who was a Knight of Malta, Hitler's vice chancellor, and 1933. And that concordat, by the way, is still in effect for all you Germans. Remember, the Jesuits hate you Germans. They can't stand you because you brought the Reformation to the world. Especially they hate East Germany. That's why they put it under communism for 45 years and beat those Lutheran Protestants into the dust. So they want to end white Protestant and Baptist Western civilization by any means necessary. And it appears to me that we are now in the final death throes, the final design of the Jesuit order to bring this to pass. And so this will be one of the major purposes for this broadcast, to have you instructed in these matters, to teach you from the books that I know, to get the evidence from individuals who are fully aware of this, so that you'll be fully informed as to what's happening and will not be deceived either by the Pope's general media, controlled by the Council on Foreign Relations, controlled by various other secret societies. Of course, high-level Scottish Rite Freemasonry is one of them. The Knights of Columbus are another. The Knights of Malta are another. The Knights of the Equestrian Order are another. I mean, it's through these papal knighthoods and Masonic secret societies that the Jesuits fully control, and thereby fully control this Holy Roman, which I call Holy Roman 14th Amendment, corporate fascist, socialist, communist, anti-white, pro-black American empire.